Greetings. Shalom. I had a firstborn. Some thoughts on firstborn come to mind, and I looked at some 4:4s, chapter 4, verse 4s, and then the firstborn came to mind, and I found that Genesis 4:4 Abel also brought the firstborn of his flock from the beginning, the firstborn, and of their fat, and Jehovah respected Abel and his offering, firstborn offering of his flock. And then we look at that word for firstborn, page 1062.
Strong's H 1062. Bechorah. Bechorah. And the form just below that, Bechorah. Bechorah.
And this Hebrew word behind the firstborn, the first usage is in Genesis 4:4. And this specific word is used not too many times, 15 times looks like total. And how do I see on here? I looked at the phone where you could see the order of it, I think. Yeah, 4:4 should be the 4:4 is the first usage. So word for firstborn, the first usage is 4:4. And we read, well, we know Messiah is the firstborn from the dead. Maybe I'll find it first. But the true meaning of firstborn is not in the flesh. Some revelation. And from Yehoshua Messiah, the faithful witness, the firstborn from the dead, and the ruler over the kings of the earth, to him who loved us and washed us from our sins in his own blood. Well, the only thing the enemy can do is, well, everything in the heart backwards, reverse the whatever the good truth is from the Father, it's reversed in the heart, the spiritual wickedness. And since firstborn is here in Hebrews, to the General Assembly and Church of the firstborn who are registered in heaven. The firstborn are registered in heaven. So something pretty important about the firstborn. There's also the firstborn in the beast, in the devil. Also, I've learned the masquerade that has nothing to do with being a firstborn of Elohim, registered in heaven. And the 144,000 are all those that are in Messiah that we also read in Revelation. Not this verse here, but have to search that for the 144,000. They are also the firstborn, and the firstborn from the dead that have been washed, who overcome the great tribulation, that are in Messiah. They are his people from every tribe of Israel. They are the kingdom. They are spiritual Israel, the kingdom, Father's kingdom, his people. And they are the assembly of the firstborn, registered in heaven, to Elohim, the judge of all, to the spirits of just men made perfect. By faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest he who destroyed the firstborn should touch them. But when he again brings the firstborn into the world, he says, let the messengers of Elohim worship him. And he is the head of the body, the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he may have preeminence. He is the image of the invisible Elohim, the firstborn over all creation. Not Adam. He's the second Adam, which is the firstborn. Adam only was naturally born first of all creation, created, born first. But that's not the meaning. It's not what Genesis ever meant. Man never knew until the revelation of Messiah given, until the Spirit was given to those that believe in Messiah. How could he be in the image of the invisible Elohim? Well, all the things that the Father is, all the works of the heart, his Spirit, the fruits of the Spirit, everything he is invisible. These are the important things, not what someone can see and touch with their hands and with their carnal eyes and ears. The eyes that see, that have eyes but do not see, the ears that hear and do not hear. Well, that would be his whole word. Those first eyes and ears can't see or hear anything. He is in the image of the invisible Elohim. So what should we expect a believer to be becoming? What do they look like? It's invisible to the world. For those that don't see, the very thing a believer is becoming is invisible to them. There is no proof, none. Even though they look at the works, because of the blinding, because of the hardness of the heart, because of the death therein, they won't truly be able to see according to that sight, which one must be born again from above in order to have eyes and ears that see and hear. Kind of like being born. Those are, without being born, there's no eyes or ears. For whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son. And whose image is Messiah in? He, Messiah, is in the image of the invisible Elohim. He also predestined to be conformed. He now, the Father, the Creator, and no one else. For the Father foreknew, for he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. That would be the total of all believers. However, the literal number doesn't matter. The few, these would be representing then the 144,000, the many brethren, the firstborn, the assembly of the firstborn, the church firstborn, registered in heaven. Cha-ching, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Firstborn, wrapped in him in swaddling clothes, but see, this is the truth, and yet it's not the truth here, because to be literally born first in the flesh is not the understanding. And nevertheless, firstborn son, representing that firstborn that Messiah really is from the dead. And like a baby being born, it's like being born from blackness and darkness and death, something like that. To be born again from above and receive his Spirit is to be born from the dead. Now, it's interesting to me, and I found that today, that Genesis 4:4 happens to be the first usage of this Hebrew word for firstborn of his flock, the many brethren. Flock, sheep. The flock is all his people. Now, Messiah is the shepherd, that great shepherd. He's the first, he's the head, he's the King of kings. Messiah, the firstborn, declared in the beginning, which is that which is the end, declared from the beginning, the end declared from the beginning. Genesis 4:4, of his flock and of their fat, and Jehovah respected Abel and his offering. And Messiah was a sin offering, so that there could be many brethren born, so that there could be true believers to be born, to become a believer, to become alive from the dead, because of the firstborn being offered, sacrificed, self-sacrificed. Now, the wicked have nothing to do with this. They don't know what this means, and they never do it. The sacrifices and the different kinds of sacrifices they speak of are all wicked. They sacrifice others and spill their blood, and their blood covers their spilling that they just did. That's how they do that. That's how the wicked do sacrifice. They sacrifice their family. They sacrifice others. They murder others with the heart, which would be to sacrifice someone else for self's gain, to be alive in the beast, to conquer, to the dog eat dog world, to survive, to keep a job better, to rise to the top. You got to murder a bunch of other people, all these things to stay alive in this world, to stay at first in this world, to be like an animal, that kind of surviving, like a beast. What does a beast have to do to survive? It's got to kill others. It's got to sacrifice. And what does it do with that blood? Well, it covers itself with it and eats it. And now that blood covers their sins in their mind. It's an abomination to Jehovah, the sacrifice of the wicked. Now, right from the beginning, the firstborn of his flock, the offering, and the offering was accepted because the offering is representing a true heart. But the offering itself is not the true heart. It's pointing to what its meaning is. A good offering is a clean, pure offering with no blemish. And it's supposed to be us sacrificing ourselves. That lamb, that offering, is our own death, marching with the stake in our back. Take up your stake, follow me, to what? Death, to sacrifice self. Well, what does an unbeliever do with that? That's someone else. They sacrifice someone else. They kill Messiah. They kill his people. The bloodshed of all the prophets. Guilty of all the bloodshed from all time, from all the earth, from Abel to Zechariah. Well, that still has continued today. From Abel until whatever the literal end is. The harlot killed all the saints, with their heart they murdered. So that sacrifice is murdering, killing someone else, because the understanding has not been given to them, because they don't seek it, not of his spirit. That is self. That sacrifice that is supposed to teach us what that is self-sacrifice. And then that is for the benefit, for the life of others. That blood is killing self, sacrificing self. And life is in the blood. Like we read, in the blood is life. And that life is to go out for others so that others can be alive and become alive, to sacrifice self. The reverse of that, which is who the devil is and all his servants, is to kill someone else for its own gain and benefit, but not the true life. It doesn't receive the true life. It calls beastly, carnal, wicked things life. That's the kind of life that the devil offers. And I just read, where is that now? Actually, let me go to Genesis 9:6 now, because I found that interesting too, because of the numbers. Genesis 9:6. Whoever sheds man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed. Now this is a punishment. This is a judgment. For in the image Okay, that was a literal 10-second train horn blast, which usually doesn't happen. It was like 10 seconds straight or so. By man his blood shall be shed, for in the image of Elohim he made man. Well, that's prophecy. Messiah became in the image of the Father, but anyone that's not believing is not really in the image, is not in the image of because the Father's not a bloodshedder and a murderer. Even though that judgment comes back on man to make him look like it to everyone. Someone can claim the Father is a murderer, but he's not. It's the one claiming he is that's the murderer, blaming someone else to hide and cover its own sins, as usual. Just another recent experience of the same thing where it could be a person, a group of people, whatever it is. They do the literal sin. They do the literal evil. And then they blame you. And it's over. It's done. It's your fault. It's it. They think that works. They think that covers them by just blaming someone else for what they literally did. You know, it's the guy that gets killed. It's his fault that the killer killed him, that person died. You made me do it. It's your fault. Boom. You killed, dead. And then when there's a dead person right below someone's feet, his so-called buddy says, "You're not a killer. You're a good guy. I know you. You're a good man. You're not a murderer." And the guy that just killed someone says, "Yeah, no, like, but no, 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 no. You're not a murderer. You're all right, man," because he's supporting murder to hide his own sin and murder. His buddy also is. The buddy's only doing that to his friend, so-called, to cover up his own identical sin that he does in the heart, murder. And murder is to, well, it's to start doing hateful thoughts towards someone. It's to wish some kind of evil out of an a murderous, out of an anger that is connected to murder anger, and not any kind of good anger that's sin free. Which actually, I'll maybe come back to this now that I say that. Is it Isaiah 4:4? Oh, this is one of them too then. When the master has washed away the filth of the daughters of Zion with what? That blood, and purged the blood of Jerusalem, 144,000, from her midst by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. 5. Then Jehovah will create above every dwelling place of Mount Zion and above her assemblies a cloud and smoke by day and the shining of a flaming fire by night. For over all the glory there will be a covering. His covering is good. What was it? Revelation 4:4 now. So by the spirit of judgment, purge the blood of Jerusalem from her midst, by the spirit of judgment, by the spirit of burning, the assemblies shining of a flaming fire by night, and the glory of the covering, smoke by day, shining a flaming fire by night. Revelation 4:4. Around those were, is this the right one? Around the throne were 24 thrones, and on the thrones I saw 24 elders sitting clothed in white. They're covered. The robes, the righteousness, the Father's righteousness, and his covering working in us, on us, as it declared from the beginning with Adam and Eve, the Father's covering, not our own fig leaf, worthless, wicked covering. And they had crowns of gold on their heads. And now verse 5, like Isaiah 5:4-5, and from the throne proceeded lightnings, thunderings, and voices. 7 lamps of fire were burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of Elohim. In Isaiah 4:5, flaming fire by night. Well, what is a fire besides burning? But I think what I wanted, though, that just happened to be now, was it Proverbs or Psalm 4:4? Be angry and do not sin. Yes, to not let that angry become sin. The murder is an anger that's connected with sin out of hate. It's a murderous thought, murderous intentions. It's revenge is in its mind. Those are the works and thoughts of anger that is connected to murder, to a murderous heart. Psalm 4:4, be angry and do not sin. Meditate within your heart on your bed and be still, Selah. Proverbs 4:4. He also taught me and said to me, let your heart retain my words, keep my commands and live. Flip back to Genesis 9:6. Whoever shed the man's blood, by man his blood shall be shed, for in the image of Elohim he had made man. And Messiah was put up on the 3rd hour. Darkness came from the 6th hour to the 9th hour, and Messiah gave up his life on the 9th hour. 369. I wonder what the devil does with that. 369, wicked snake. And what he does with 69. Man is created on day 6. He's the carnal man, the natural man, the first Adam, the firstborn naturally of all creation, which does no good. That's why Messiah says the flesh profits nothing. My words are spirit. And we just read Isaiah 4:4, by the power of judgment, by the spirit of judgment, by the power of, it's by the power of his spirit. The spirit of judgment, by the spirit of his power. Things of spirit. Messiah grew stronger in spirit, like we also read plainly. He grew stronger in spirit, not like Samson in the flesh. The flesh profits nothing. Messiah's word is spirit. All the Father's word is spirit. And in the image of Elohim hate. So Messiah died to that, to the flesh, to self, which is the enemy of the Creator, self, which is the wall and barrier and separating wall of enmity, no crossing over. It's enmity. It's here's this side, and they have nothing to do with each other. A wall is only for war. So then that wall of enmity he broke down, like we read in somewhere in the New Testament. That's the separating wall that Messiah, the Father's work through Messiah to break down, to create a way, to create access, to create through belief a way to believe and see him that man never had before, ever, until Messiah. That's why it's such a big deal what happened. And through all this, the Father can show what love is and what his love is, and the insanity for good of what his love is, to give up his only begotten Son. And not only that, Messiah did nothing to be condemned as a wicked man. Pretty big difference to be put on the stake for murder and put on the stake for doing only good and no sin at all. Pretty massive difference, but it looks the same to the wicked. Well, let it look the same. Let the filthy be filthy still, and let the wretched be wretched still. Let the unclean be unclean still. Let the righteous be righteous still. Let the pure be pure still. It looks identical. In fact, it's better. It's worse than that. Release Barnabas, a murderer that everyone knows he is, because he literally killed someone. But Messiah, they kill and murder. Kill him, for he did good, for he did not blaspheme the Father. He did not claim to be Elohim like all of them claimed and are in their heart. That's why they dump their guilt and their sin. You claim to be God, blasphemy, because that's what their heart has always been from the beginning of the creation and sin, Adam and Eve, has always been what the devil said you shall be. You shall be as Elohim. You shall be like Elohim. Out of pride and wickedness, because the devil never speaks truth. No, not in his image, the masquerade of being in the Father's image. The masquerade of the Father's image, the perfect pride and all wickedness, not as Messiah, it became in the Father's image, humble, nothing to do with pride, nothing to do with sin. No, not in the Father's true image. The devil creates an outward image that looks like that someone's a believer, but inside it has nothing to do with it. In the heart, 100% backwards, 100% perfectly wicked, the exact 180 thing of every good law and detail. Every good thing that there is, the devil is the 180 of it, and that's man's heart. Through that pride, it's a God in its own mind. It's a God, as the devil has said, you shall be. And anyone that doesn't believe in the Creator already is that, because who's going to overcome something like the enemy? Who's going to overcome its deceitful heart that's so easily deceived, let alone there being some kind of enemy out there beguiling, deceiving, all the things we read, witchcraft, sorcery, through lying. That's the enemy lied. You shall be like. No, they didn't become in the Father's image. The devil is selling that you shall be like a god, like power. You shall be the creator yourself in your own heart. You are the pride. You are the king. You are at the top. Through all pride, everything is working through pride and not apart from it in the evil. Nothing to do with being in the image of the Father, but this is the trick. This is the masquerade and the sorcery and the deception. Man is a little bit confused. He thinks he's the judge of the earth. That's why he judges everyone with condemning judgment and then says, nobody can judge me because he's God. Nobody judges God, right? Nobody judges the Almighty. And now everyone else is doing the same thing. They judge everyone else, but they say, don't judge me because they are gods in their own heart. It's already so. It's already perfect and true. Doesn't matter what color, what flesh, doesn't matter what race, doesn't matter where someone lives, it's all the same. Everyone is Adam and Eve. Carnal. And Messiah died to self, that carnal man. The flesh was the enmity. The inability to keep the law needs to die. That's the requirement of the law for sin, is that it requires death. How could that penalty be paid without literally dying and your life is over? Through Messiah, that's how. Nobody died to this death before. There was no way. Man couldn't see it. He couldn't find it. And it proves that man is not righteous and has no good in him. A few thousand years go by, like 4. Because 4 is when light comes. Messiah is the first light in the world with the Father's light in him. And I believe he died on 31 AD. That's my belief. Unless the Father shows me something else or otherwise that's wrong. And that adds up to 4, and it's the backwards of 13. Messiah died to that rebellion, 13, and reversed it, 31 AD. And that 4 is the light, like we read in Genesis also. 1, what is day 4? What happened on day 4? I'm seeing everything but the day. What day is it? We're the 3rd day. Here's the 4th day. Then Elohim said, let there be lights. This is the beginning of the 4th day, because here's the 3rd day. So the evening and the morning were the 3rd day, and above that is the 3rd day. Now below is the beginning of the 4th day. Then Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament, in heaven, of the heavens, to divide the day from the night. No mixing, no calling good evil and evil good. There's no such thing. In reality, that's a delusion, a punishment. A believer needs to rightly divide the word of truth, to divide the day, evil or good, from the night, evil, darkness, day and night, good and evil, to divide between the two, and let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years, and let them be for lights in the firmament, more than one light of the heavens, to give light on the earth. Who's the light of the world? Messiah, the first light of the world. What are his people called? Well, they're also lights in the world, and it was so. Then Elohim made 2 great lights. Well, the Father's the greatest of all. He's the Son, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. And the moon is Messiah. He's light, but he's not the creator. Lesser here is not meaning something bad. It's only true and good and righteous. He made the stars also, all the peoples. He's the King of Kings, the little stars, little kings. And Messiah is the big king, and the Father is the king. He is the creator. The 3 are one. The sun, moon, and stars, 3. There's nothing else going on, according to, NASA or whatever. These are the 3 things that they cannot believe, simple truth. They got all kinds of other things, planets and galaxies and whatever, solar system, black holes that are eternal darkness that swallow things up. And I'm sure they've proven that and saw and took pictures and, took a video of something being swallowed by a black hole somewhere up there. Elohim set them in the firmament of the heavens, not honor. And his people are from above, to give light on earth. Every good gift comes from above. Therefore, if a believer's a light on, earth. It's that light is not from earth. It's from above. It's from the Father above. It's from Messiah above. It's from his Spirit above. It didn't come from earth. Nevertheless, there's a way to be a light on the earth through those that believe. It should be lights in the earth. They do works that nobody else does. And no one can understand this unless it's being given, unless someone is a light. They will only see pride and evil in that. Try to prove that by saying, "Oh, I can throw my Bluetooth speaker on the ground or something here. See, you did that. I'll show you that I could do that too." There it is. They prove that they can do all the works a believer does now. That darkness can do all the works of light somehow. Well, how are they going to prove that in reality? Because I'm not speaking of throwing something on the ground, some physical flesh work that profits nothing, that has nothing to do with the truth. Don't they believe Messiah's words? Don't they claim to in the church world? Don't they know the flesh profits nothing? Why did they try to use flesh to prove something? Profits nothing. It's got zero profit. How much does it profit? Zero, nothing. So how could something that profits nothing be proof? Isn't proof good? Test and prove all things. Doesn't proving something have some kind of profit for good? Not money here. A good profit does something good for us to prove and test all things. Well, if it's got no profit, how could it be any kind of proof? Because if it was proof, it would be some kind of profit. It would be some kind of good, but the flesh profits nothing. Therefore, that flesh thing profits nothing. Therefore, it did not prove anything. It's all one. Set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth. Messiah said, I am the light of the world, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. No one can turn on a flashlight or a flash dark, contradiction, to give light. I need to see under my hood what's going on with my engine. Let me turn on a flash dark. It's not going to expose anything. Darkness doesn't do the works of light. Creation is speaking and teaching that right to everyone's face, that darkness has nothing to do with light and can never do the works of light. And Elohim saw that it was good. What's good? The dividing of everything. This is the way it needs to be. This is what believers have to be doing. This is good. So the evening and the morning were the fourth day. The Messiah is the light of the world. He reversed the curse. He reversed 13. About Genesis again. Genesis 13, chapter 13, verse 13. But the men of Sodom were exceedingly wicked and sinful against Jehovah. That's Genesis 13:13. What's the new covenant in Messiah? What's the reverse of 13:13? Jeremiah 31. The only verse in all the Old Testament that says the new covenant, like the way it's said. Not the only teaching of it, the only verse that has that phrase, new covenant. Behold, the days are coming, says Jehovah, when I will make a new covenant. And Messiah is that. Through Messiah, the blood of the new covenant, for his life was shed for the many that believe, and for all. But those that don't believe now are not becoming, they are not covered, they are not receiving these real things, even though he did die for all. It's only through belief now that someone can receive and be of the new covenant in Messiah. A new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. 31:31 is the opposite of Sodom being exceedingly wicked, 13:13. And 31 also adds to 4, but always remembering there's a masquerade. There's the good and the evil. There's 4 and there's 4. And then there's 5 and there's 5. The devil needs to make it look identical on the outside, even adding up to the same thing. It doesn't mean it's the same thing. So then Messiah reversed man 6 into 9, which is 6 inverted. and died to it. And that's why we read in Revelation and elsewhere that, death and Hades was cast into the lake of fire, destroyed. Death was destroyed. Man, death, who Adam is, death, only sin. Messiah died to, which is what the 9 is doing now. 9 is death, darkness. He died on the 9th hour to that old man so that we can die and make access to die to ourselves in order to receive his life. He reversed the curse, flipped it around, died to it, and now 6 and 9 go away. They're destroyed. They're gone. They literally disappear. And an interesting thing about 9, let me get the calculator out here. Let's see, do I have a calculator here? Make it a little smaller. I don't need it this big. Fit it on the screen. I don't know. Let's see. Jeremiah 31:31 actually adds up to 8, which is the new creation, the beginning of the new creation in Messiah. 3 + 1 + 3 + 1 is 8. But also, Genesis 13:13 adds up to 8, the beginning of the devil's creation in the beast, the reversed. But it does look the same. If the true things can't be seen, then we can't see how it's reversed in the heart. It just will look the same to man's eyes, but he gives us discernment, and then we can start actually seeing that it's reversed and discerning between it. It doesn't trick us anymore when we get understanding of what good and the evil is. For every law, the reversed of the good is the evil thing. That's reversed of the good thing, which is what? The breaking of the law. For the same words, do not commit adultery. There's the keeping of it. Keep that by what? By not breaking it. And then there's the devil's way. Do not commit adultery. You break it. So then there's the good and evil. And if someone's not getting the understanding, it looks like one thing, evil, like Adam and Eve see on the tree of the knowledge of good and evil mixed. It all looks like one. It's just one evil thing. That's what sin is. But in reality, it's reversed. The only place that the new covenant phrase is used in the Old Testament, the only place happens to be Jeremiah 31:31. And I believe Messiah died in AD 31, which is 4, which is light, as in Genesis. Day 4 was all about the lights, the sun, moon, and stars, and light in the earth, separating between the two, day and night, and the sun, moon, and stars. Father Messiah and his people, heavenly people from above. Messiah said, I am from above, you are from beneath. Messiah is from above in the firmament. He's from the Father of his Spirit, and they cannot hear those words. Pharisees can't hear him. They don't know what that means. They're just going to take it whatever their own self-understanding thinks that means, which will be sin and wrong every single time, no matter what. If it's self-understanding, it's already wrong. It's already literal sin, literal lie, literal sin every time if it's from self. And that applies for all without partiality, including Messiah. My doctrine is not my own. My teaching is not mine, Messiah taught. Because if it was his own, it would also be the same Pharisee and same lies and wickedness. But Messiah denied himself. A way is made to die to self by the Father. And now this way and this love is shown, John 3:16, that he gave his only begotten Son, as the world does know of that and like to say that. But who on earth is knowing what it means and lives by it? And what it takes to do that. It looks evil on the outside, doesn't it? And yet what it's requiring in the heart to do is proving all love, proving an insane amount of love for nobody that deserves it. Rotten people and human beings that all are, don't deserve it at all for all the murder and butchering that their heart does. And yet Father still does this for undeserved. While we were still sinners, he died for us. We read that for a reason. because there was nothing but wickedness and sin in the heart, no good at all, nothing to do to deserve it. While still sinners, for believers, it was always true. It was already true for everyone. Before they even believed, he died while they were sinners. So then it's the same for all. But those that don't have the Father, don't know his love, and only see perversion. What comes to mind right now to me? What's a perversion? What's an example? What's a perversion? I mean, there's millions, but I'm just something specific that touches on that. It's in my mind, and yet it's not. It's right on the edge. What is it? I cry when angels deserve to die. Self-righteous suicide. I cry when angels deserve to die. I self-righteous suicide. I wonder who's really self-righteous. It can't be the stage acting hypocrite. No, it can't be. It can't be self, right? It can't be self that's self-righteous, and that's why they're singing the song, because they are offended and don't understand and only see wickedness and gore and perversion. That's all they see in their literal heart. It's all, they're self-righteous. They're wicked for mocking it. It's obviously a mockery out of a wicked heart. That's why it's sold very good. Anything that's evil sells. Some more, some less, because truth never sells, won't sell. Can't sell what the whole world can't understand or even see. That's why that's truth does not sell, period. The world can't even see the truth. And even if they were to look at it and see it, they wouldn't understand it. It's evil to them. So then truth doesn't sell. 9. Messiah died on the 9th hour, in darkness from 6 to 9. The darkness of man, he took on the sins of the world. He took on. No way. Okay, I just got a verse that popped up for the day at 6:02 that adds up to 8 my time. It's John 3:17. Just popped up on my phone, and I've had this happen lately where it's a day or a few days later or whatever I've been thinking of or spoke of, even the verse of the day that I did not foreknow comes up a day or a few days later that was literally specifically on my mind, and now as I speak it just popped up. I would show it if I could just instantly do that. For Elohim did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. John 3:17. Well, that's right after John 3:16, isn't it? It's incredible. Why did he do this? How is this showing his love? That what the Father did through Messiah, the firstborn, the offering. He didn't do it to condemn anyone. There is no wicked condemnation coming from the Father. Not that devil Father, but the Heavenly Father. Not that God over there, but the true Elohim. He did not send his son into the world to condemn the world. The world's already in a condemned, judged condition because of sin and unbelief. That is, someone has to face that truth. That is the condition. It is fair, it is righteous. Should he bless sin? Should it be an unjudged state and full of for blessings? Even the enemy can't answer yes to that, can they? Would they like that on them? Would they like that? You know what? For killing a man, you should here's $1 million, and we're gonna put you on TV and you're gonna become rich and famous. This is with your reward for murdering someone. Well, maybe they would like that. Okay, murder his firstborn. Now let's see what you do. murder his firstborn. You like that, right? When it's good for self, when it's self-gain. Let's see if you can like it with partiality, without partiality. Let's see if you really like your own doctrine. Let's see if you believe in your own doctrine. Kill the firstborn of Pharaoh. What's he going to do? Is he going to love it? Or is he going to fill up with unimaginable, frightening death and wrath if that were to happen? How much judgment does it take for someone to see? There is no amount. It takes a miracle. It takes a gift. It takes belief, which even that's a gift. Pharaoh's just going to get harder and harder until he's flooded in the Red Sea. And that's something to fear, the Father's power that no man can mess with or touch. That is all man, Pharaoh. Pharaoh is not some one-off. That's everyone. That's why we read about it. Yes, not everyone has the position, a worldly position like Pharaoh. But what it's speaking of for the heart, it's everyone. There's no one different than Pharaoh. Unbelievers are Pharaoh. The heart gets harder. The conscience gets seared. It keeps getting worse and worse. But now if that happened to Pharaoh's firstborn, he would hate it. See, that's the point. Violent, perfect partiality. Because if it's for self, well, I accept this wicked thing that I would have to say I don't believe, but then you like it because it's some kind of benefit for you. But now when it happens to someone you care about, like firstborn son or something, that same doctrine they cannot accept. That's how the Father judges. He gives it back to people's face. You're acting like you like this, so he puts that judgment in reality with life circumstances that no one's paying attention to, that's happening to everyone, and says, well, how do you like that? What are you going to do from your heart when this comes on you that you acted like you like, that you said you believe in? You said you're not a liar. You said you're not a murderer. You said you're not this. What do you do when the test comes that proves that specific thing out, that brings out that test for I am not a liar? What does man do? He lies. He fails the test and is proven a liar. Proven all day long, and nobody sees it. The whole world's worshiping the image of the beast day and night. They have no rest day and night. And who are those that don't worship, that cannot be worshiping the image of the beast? Those that are dead in Messiah, those that died to sin, those that are of the 144,000 cannot be worshiping the image of the beast. It's given to those that have the mark. Only those that have the mark of the beast can worship the image of the beast. But see, that's out of sin, even though the letters don't sound like it, does it? It sounds a little off. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. The discernment and understanding has to come from the Father above. Because there is no good gift from beneath. There is only darkness. So then how can that word be seen in light for what it really means unless it's coming from above, which is where light comes from? It cannot come from man beneath apart from the Father, apart from the true light. The Father is the light of the world. And yet everything was given to the Son, to Messiah, to be a light in the world. To see Messiah is to see the Father. It's who the Father is, the invisible image of who he is, the things of spirit in the heart, which are spiritual things when it's about the heart. These are all invisible things to our natural eyes. That's the image a believer becomes in. So what does it have to do with the flesh and what we look like on the outside? Nothing. It has to be discerned. What something looks like could be good or it could be evil. It doesn't prove anything by itself automatically, ever. Elohim did not send his son into the world to condemn it. What is condemnation from the heart? Hell. Hell is condemnation. Hell is torture and no mercy and condemnation. It is the definite. It doesn't get worse than hell. Hell is condemnation. The Father did not send Messiah to condemn who? The whole world. He died for the sins of the whole world. We even read whole. Someone wants to say, well, it's not whole. It's 99.9, 666. It kills germs 99.9, 666. It's 999, 666, inverted, because man's backwards. What we really mean is 666, death. What we really mean is to deceive you so we make more money. It's how all companies run, don't they? If they can get away with it, they'll do it. If they think they can get away with it carnally, they'll do it. I've got an example for wickedness. Too many, but one recent. An orange company out there, which orange is like, what is that? The sign of warning, pumpkins, Halloween, connected to death or something. And it's not orange's fault, but you know, the way things are used, you discern it. Like green is like monsters. That's why they're like green cartoons, because they're monsters, something to do with the beast. And it's always just the twisting and perverting of whatever is true. An orange company out there says that they will give you 31. I might as well say what it is in my city, in my location. It's $13 an hour minimum per scheduled block hour. It's 31 reverse, 13 per scheduled block hour. So if you schedule 6 hours, then you get $13 an hour total times 6. If you are slow for the day, they add until it's 13. What is that anyways? Where's clear? 13 times 6. 78. Which is, that adds up to 15, and 1 and 5 is 6. So then you would be $78 minimum. So if you made 40, they add from 40 to 78. Well, one day recently, I had 6 hours scheduled, and I got 0 orders, none, which I never had something like that. Never had it slow like that. I even called to see if there was something wrong. See if there was something wrong with something. I don't know. I didn't know. And they told me it looks fine. Keep staying where you are. It's all fine and good. If you get a 90%, if you accept 90% of the orders for the day, they will fulfill their $13 per hour to add for the day at the end. If you get less than 90%, which would be 1 order missed out of 9, you wouldn't be able to get it. You would make, whatever you ended up with. If you end up with 0, you would be 0. There would be no. So there's a condition that this orange company has. You need 90% acceptance rate for the offers you get for the day, which means you can only miss 1 out of 10. If you don't even get 10 orders and you miss 1, well, it's over. You won't get there. You won't pass their own requirements to get the $13 per hour minimum if it's slow. Well, I had no orders, none, in 6 scheduled hours, sitting there for 6 hours, literally. Called, said nothing was wrong. I couldn't do anything. If I dropped my blocks, I would get punished. They would lower your numbers because they don't want you dropping blocks while you're already on it. So your numbers would get punished, which affect your schedule, would affect how many orders you get, because there's a priority, a top-down priority, Premier Pro partner. So if I could leave, but then I would be doing something the company is acting like they don't want me to do, and it would hurt my numbers. If I stay, well, they fire you. Either way, they trap someone. Those that trap others, they will be trapped themselves. They already are, and they can't see it, but it's coming back on their head. It's coming back, whoever is connected in any way, shape, or form and guilty of what that work was. And it was on Friday, which is like known to be busier. So I suspect it was done on purpose. Someone had control and gave 0 orders so that, what did they do after that? They claimed that I was stealing, that I was scamming them for contribution pay that they promise if you meet the requirements, which I did because I didn't reject any orders. I had 0. There's nothing I could do. So they actually gave me 6 hours times 13. They gave me exactly 78 for the end of the day, the minimum. They filled it in. Now, because they gave me that, I was fired basically and punished. Not technically fired, but it's pretty much, it's garbage now without the schedule. You don't get orders without the schedule, because that they go to drivers that have the schedule prioritized. So whoever just swiping I'm available, you won't get hardly anything. And they will be the lowest amount too. They happen to be, because those are the orders that go through all three categories, Premier, Pro, Partner, and all three of those categories didn't want that order. And if that exists, you get that. You get a really low whatever. Every now and then you might get a really low paying order, and that's all that. It's basically over without a schedule. They restricted it and said that I was robbing them, that I was taking advantage of their contribution pay. Who believes this? Who believes that it's this delusional? This is the heart of man. It's the same everywhere. This is what people do. Who's going to stop Mr. Orange? They're just going to keep on going. They don't care. But somewhere in the details, though, in people's individual lives, things happen, and have people think that they happen, what, for no reason? How does that person know how much murder that person did? That something bad came on him all of a sudden, real bad. How much murder did they just suppose he did before something like that came on him? And nothing can happen, and the Father can still judge someone's soul, because Messiah said, fear him who can destroy body and soul in Gehenna fire. Nothing physical has to happen for the Father to take vengeance and judge someone. They could be suicidal every day, and that's enough of a judgment. That's a pretty strong judgment, to be in misery and death and all anxiety and unrest. Someone shouldn't say to some random person they don't know their life, why is this happening to me? Do what Messiah did and let it be. Don't break the reed that's bruised, and don't quench the burning flax. Let the Father do his judgment. That's going to look evil to this world. It's going to be evil to people. He knows how to judge. He's judging everyone according to their works. Everyone that's judged acts like they're innocent and completely didn't do anything wrong. So they blame you. They blame someone else for the sins they just did. It's their system. They did it. I met the requirements that they write on their website that anyone can read. Then for them paying me, I get punished and restricted because they paid me. They punish themselves. Yeah, I know it doesn't look like that in the flesh. It only looks like one side got screwed, whoever got screwed, and it looks like they are victorious. That's not what's happening. That's not reality. They can't see anything in spirit. They can't see that these people will be dead every single day for what they did. And they don't know what's coming on their head in the days, weeks, and months to come. They don't know for doing this to people. They could do that to anyone they want at any time. They could do that to anyone that they feel like booting out. They could, maybe they're just pissed off and had a bad day and now they need to screw someone. You know, that happens also. That they just need to screw someone because someone screwed them recently. So they boot you out by their own standards. They condemn themselves. They offer the pay. They write it on their website. They do it all. They hit the button to pay me that I never asked for and I would reject if I could, but they don't give you a choice to reject this contribution garbage. And then boom, you're done. They paid you and then they say that you're taking advantage. It's done. It's over. No one can fight that. No one's going to fight. We're not supposed to, but I'm saying if someone tried, they wouldn't win anything. Company would still keep going and doing the same garbage and sin and evil. Because what? Because people worship the image of the beast. This is what the company says on the website. You must have done something wrong. Done. That's what the judges of all the earth, all the gods, the people, will say. They'll be on the devil's side. They won't be on whoever did what's right side. They'll be on the devil's side. They will be on the side that sinned or the side that sinned the most. That's who they will say is innocent, and the one that's guilty, they'll say is innocent and the innocent one is guilty. That's what they'll do, as if they have discernment, as if someone has any discernment, being some kind of person in a courtroom determining what someone gets. That's not a believer's work to do, to be God Almighty, Elohim Almighty, and determine what someone deserves, whether they're innocent or guilty. That's not our work to do. We're not supposed to ever do that from the heart, let alone literally. Let the dead bury the dead. Let the dead put people in prison. Let the dead say that someone's a murderer. Let the dead say someone that's innocent. Let them do their dead things. Messiah says, you follow me. Anyway, so that's what happened recently. Fun. No surprise, that would be the third job in a row that the devil had something to do with kicking me out. And I'm sure that there will be a fourth in a row and maybe a fifth, I don't know. But that's likely from what I can see. Without a cause. You know, they do evil and then they blame it on you. I'm the robber. They're the robber and the thief. But there's no point in even, you know, you take it. That's it. You can't go against them. I can't go against them. That's not what the Father wants us to do, is to, you know, sue someone or something and try to, you know, people then get money hungry and say, oh, I could sue someone. My neck hurts. My neck hurts. Oh, my wrist hurts. All of a sudden my wrist hurts. You know, like people that get arrested, that they don't even have to be older, but I've seen, you know, somewhere older, elderly, they're fine all the time. And then when they get let go, like the cop changes their mind, whatever happens, circumstance, they say, okay, you know, go ahead, go. They can't leave without just running their mouth. They keep on running their mouth. I'm a Christian. And then it points, you were good. I like you. I mean, this is so shameful. They see nothing. They can't see the shame of this. And then you over there, you cop, I don't like you. You were evil. And then all of a sudden, like nothing's going on. I think my wrist hurts. Oh, my wrist hurts. Oh, my wrist. Just making it up to make what? Them look like they did a bunch of evil, to cast the image, to make them look innocent, which they're not, and to make the other, whoever they are, it doesn't matter in this case, like cops, whatever, handcuffed. You did this now. My wrist hurts. You hurt me. You hurt me. They all do the same thing, don't they? They're guilty for something they did, and now all of a sudden they're hurt. They're hurt. It's not to say that, you know, that cops have never done evil, because that's laughably untrue. It's not to say they've never hurt someone or something, but in this case it didn't happen, and someone's still saying, you hurt me, you hurt me, you hurt me, to try to cast the image of innocence on self by condemning and blaming and falsely accusing someone else that's doing murder. Christian, you're a murderer. Christian, you're no believer at all. Christian, you just murdered that cop. Christian, you just falsely accused that cop. Christian, that's right, you're a Christian. You're a murderer. That's what they are. They murdered Messiah, and they continue to murder his people. That's all that they have ever done, the religion. It's right, someone's a Christian. You proved it to me. Proved it to me you're a Christian. It's not about any one individual. It's about the heart. It's about what man is. The religion has nothing to do with the Father. Nothing. They need to put on a show for what they don't see or understand. That's what every carnal person has to do. They need to put on a show of, I got this verse and here's my understanding. Now I have to show you I can do this. I have to show you my praise. I have to show you my prayers in front of everyone. Show you this, show you that. Got to show everyone everything for what they carnally think that means, when it's all in spirit. It's all the true works being done in the heart. It's all invisible to those that can't see, to the carnal. It's all invisible. And that's proved in just a few words, with a few verses. Father's image is in his invisible image. What are we becoming? In Messiah's image, who is in the Father's invisible image. Can these things be seen by anyone that's blind? No, it's invisible to them. The very things that prove someone knows the Father and is a believer is invisible to the whole world. That's why Messiah says that the world cannot know him, cannot know him, cannot see him, cannot know him, cannot see him. Back to 9. Some works of death that were recently done, but that's happening every day in the world. 99 equals 9 plus 9 is 18. And then 1 and 8 is 9. How is this worded? Where the 9 always drops off. It's always as if it doesn't exist. It's always as if it's dead. So if we take a number like any number with 9 in it, like 39, 3, and add it, 3 plus 9. The number in 39 is 3 besides 9, 3. 3 plus 9 equals 12. 1 and 2 is 3. The 9 drops off. You have to add it until you get a single number. So in 39, there's just 3. And the 9's there, but 9's dead. It drops off because it's representing death, because Messiah died on the 9th hour. And he reversed the curse. And this 9 is this death to the carnal man, 2, 6. So this is the only number besides 9, 3. So when 3 plus 9 is 2, 12. 1 and 2 is 3. And that 3 lines up with this 3 in 3 plus 9. And the 9 drops off. It's dead. Whatever this equals, the addition of something with 9, and then the addition of more than one number will always equal the other number besides 9. 9 drops off every time without fail. How strange. 59, 5 plus 9. So we have 5 and 50. There, focus. 5. We have 5 and 9 and 59. When we add 5 and 9, it's 14. What is 1 and 4? Add 2, 5. The 9 drops off. The 5, 1 and 4 is 5, lines up with the 5. And never that. The 9 is always dropped off. 20. Oh, let's do another. Let's do, I don't know, 8 plus 9. Anything with 9. The number besides 9 there is 8. What's 1 and 7? Add up to 8. The 9 drops off. 8 and 8. It works with 3 digits, but there's an extra step because there's an extra digit. 2, 5, 9. Let's do 2, 5, 9. 2 plus 5 plus 9 equal. 2 plus 5 plus 9 equals. What's going on here? It's not showing it. Oh, it's doing, what is it doing? Oh, it's adding. Oh, all right. Okay. It's doing the adding actually. So 2 plus 5 is 7. So we would have 2, 5, and 9. Now 2, 5, 9, it's actually already doing it. You have to add the 2 numbers together until you get 1. And then the 9's dropped off. So 2, 5, 9, 2 and 5 is 7. So we have 7, 9. 7 plus 9 is 16, or 2 plus 5 plus 9 is 16. 1 and 6 is 7, and the 9 drops off. It always, with the number with 9, the addition of the numbers, whatever that equals, and then that, whatever the equals is, 16, when you add that up, it will line up with whatever the top equals with the bottom, and the 9 drops off. So what about 5, 4, 5, 9? Okay. It's going to do it for us now. 4 plus 5 plus 5 plus 9. Did I do that right? Yeah. I don't even know the number. So what did I do? 4, 5, 5, 4, 9. So all that those separate numbers that I punched in 4 digits this time equals 14. And 1 and 4 is 5. And all those numbers equal 23. 2 and 3 is 5. 1 and 4 is 5. 5 and 5, the 9 drops off. It's like acting like death. It's interesting. One day I went to a local grocery store and there was a woman there at the checkout. And I don't know how it started, but she said something about the number 8, I think, of representing like death. And it was strange because it was like pretty shortly after seeing this with the numbers and on what Messiah did and how the death destroyed, how that his death destroyed death itself, and then all that death drops out and you're left with life. But I think she said 8 was the number of like darkness or something, death, and I said 9. 9 is the number of death and darkness, and 8 is like 8 is the beginning of the new creation. It's just crazy how backwards man is in everything, calling good evil and evil good, even with the numbers saying that 8 represents like darkness and death. No, 9 represents death. It's even proven in the literal numbers. It always drops out when there's something with a 9 in it. And it doesn't work the exact same way. It doesn't work perfectly and consistently with any other number. Well, maybe a contrast might be good to see what it's not, see what the other numbers can't do. Let's use 8. 4 plus 8. Let's see, 8. 4 plus 8. 1 and 2 is 3. And that's 4. They don't match. It doesn't do the same consistent thing that 9 does. It's about 38. 3 plus 8. 1 and 1 is 2. And that doesn't line up with 3. It doesn't work the same. But the thing that someone can do for deception is that something can work every once in a while. It looks like it works, and then they cherry pick that like they do with his word and make it look like it's the true thing that always works. No, one time if it doesn't work, it cannot be called that thing now. One time, which I already proved 2 times, it's not working the same. If those numbers happen to line up one time or every now and then, it doesn't prove that it's the same thing. That just happens to be so, that's all. Something that always works is not happening to be so. It's the truth, it's something to it. It's always true. It's always, the moment truth has one time it doesn't work, whatever that thing is not truth, because truth always works. So man's backwards. He does one good work in his mind and it covers 10,000 wicked works. That's how he thinks it works. That's how a murderer works. He does one good work on purpose to cover all his other sins. Doesn't work. Those 10,000 evils became 10,001 because that covering our own sins is evil. So even that good work, that so-called good, that looked good in his mind and to others, is an evil work, because covering our own sins is evil. It's a wicked heart and a wicked intention. It's rebellious. It's not acknowledging anything that its heart is doing to the Father. It's not repenting. It's through rebellion. It's covering its own sins, bypassing the Creator. Anything that bypasses the Creator is rebellion, which is sin. But now with 9, it always works. 9 plus 9, 2 9s. 1 and 8 equals 9. It lines up with 9. It's all 9. It's all death. It all drops out. So Messiah reverse 13. If we walk from the left to right, if we walk from the left, which looks like we're walking see, how does that work with the writing? I'm not sure it works with this. Well, the point is 13 is the reverse of 31. That's it. So if we turn around and go back the other way, we'll be going 31. And if we turn around and go the other way, we'll be going 13. We'll be in the rebellion backwards. So the enemy and what evil is backwards, and spiritually backwards. It's not 90 degrees here, 90, it's backwards. Anything that's not the truth is already backwards. There's just no other way. It's how the Father made it to be. It's walking in the opposite direction spiritually. It looks like walking in the exact opposite direction. And we read that he casts out the sins of his people as far as the east is from the west, and the east and west touch each other. They're very near, they touch each other. And yet, changing your direction and going in the other direction perfectly will be forever going away from west. Or if we change the direction again, it'll be forever going away from east. So the understanding is not what it looks like, which it looks like it's forever touching each other, close to each other in a circle. I happen to have a plate. The circle of the earth, and east and west is a circle. So then if we walk this way, and let's say that it doesn't matter in the example, let's say this is the right way, and that's the way of the Father, to follow him. And now the devil's way is just simply that. It's the same path. It looks the same anyways, just going in the opposite direction. And then east is over here in a circle going this way, and west is over here in a circle going that way, and they both are one. They're one touching each other, and yet they have nothing to do with each other. The moment someone turns around, they're separated from the west. The east is separated from the west forever, as long as they're going in this direction. And if they go this way, the west is separated from the east, and I'm not thinking about having east and west literally right. And that's the point. It doesn't look like it. That's the Father's way. It never looks like it. It doesn't look like it to the carnal mind. It only starts looking like it when we're seeing his things that are given. And until something's really given from him, it's going to look wicked, wrong. It's going to look contradicting. It's going to look foolish, evil. Everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man who eats the sour grapes, his teeth shall be set on edge. The wrath of the devil in him. Now that covenant, that new covenant, 31:31, new covenant of the new creation. 8, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt. Why? Why is it not according to that? What's changed? Well, they don't know. They never thought to ask. It's a massive change. And it has nothing to do with the Father's law being wrong or evil at any time. Nevertheless, it's a new covenant. My covenant which they broke, though I was a husband to them, says Jehovah. This is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Jehovah. I will put my law. Is it ever going to go away? According to his word, before Messiah was even born, his word taught that the law is never going away. Many witnesses to that. Whoever does away with the law, even his prayer is an abomination, we read. Is that in Psalm or Proverbs somewhere? The one who turns away from his law, even his prayer is an abomination. It's disgust to the Father that does away with the law and then prays to him. I will put my law in their minds. What does that look like physically? It doesn't. and write it on their hearts. What does that look like in the flesh? It doesn't. And I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. No more shall every man teach his neighbor. This is what the carnal man always has done and still does to this day that don't know the Father. They think by reading the Bible out loud and street preaching, that kind of thing. Got to teach them, tell them about the literal word. They don't believe this, do they? No more shall every man teach his neighbor. Once again, without seeing what this means, it's going to look like I'm lying and contradicting, and I'm aware of it, because it's just like with the East and West Circle. It doesn't look so good, doesn't look right. Looks like we're lying and contradicting to those who can't see what this means. It's not contradicting. No more shall every man teach his neighbor. Why? Because the Father's the one writing it in the minds and the hearts. We can't do that ourselves to someone. And every man his brother, saying, Know Jehovah, for they all shall know me. In contrast to what? The old covenant, the natural man, his self-righteousness. They never knew him. They never truly knew him. They shall know me now, in contrast to fake knowing him, only to think that they know him. They shall really know me. Who? All those that really believe in Messiah and the new covenant. For they all, who's the all? The 144,000, those that believe now, not those that don't believe now, for they all shall know me. Messiah teaches this. What is eternal life as it's read? What is that life, that age-abiding life? To know him, to know the Father and the one whom he sent. The Messiah speaking of himself, of course, here, to know the Father and Messiah. This is age-abiding life, to know Elohim, to know the Father and the one whom you sent, Messiah. To know the Father and Messiah is life. They will know, from the least of them to the greatest of them, says Jehovah, for I will forgive their iniquity, and their sin I will remember no more. What? Didn't he forgive? Well, something wasn't, the Father doesn't change, but why do we read this? Because before, the sheep and the blood of sheep and rams never took away actual real sin. It reminded them of it. Murdering someone else reminds them of their sins. It never took away the sins like we read in Hebrews. Maybe I'll find it. Hebrews 10:4, ready for takeoff. For the law, well, we're back here again. For the law, having a shadow of the good things to come, and not the very image of the things, not the very image, not the very sheep, not the very utensils, not the very things of those, the image of those things, can never, with these same sacrifices which they offer continually year by year, make those who approach perfect. For then would they not have ceased to be offered? For the worshippers once purified would have no more consciousness of sins. Now what he's speaking about is something spiritual that's within a man, that's very real, but it's invisible to the natural eyes and natural ears. And yet it's real. Yet it can be seen and heard with the spiritual eyes and ears. That sin guilt is proof of the Creator's judgment, which can be seen in every single person when they sin. If someone has eyes to see, it's proof of the Creator existing and his judgment and his power being perfect. Instant sin guilt the moment someone does a sin in their heart, not what they think sin is. When they actually do a sin that they don't believe is sin, they will act guilty spiritually, even though they try to hide it. Hiding it is proof that they have sin guilt. That's why Adam and Eve cover themselves, because they're guilty. If they weren't guilty, they would stand there and be standing in the light saying, look, my conscience is clear and clean. Well, a serial killer and a rapist says their conscience is clean. They lie. They make themselves look just like the true. Anybody can say the words. They'll do that. That's what man will do. He'll say, my conscience is clean. Testified before God, they'll even say. Because it takes nothing to say the words. Oh, but they better be sure that they're right and true about what they say, because that's a big lie, and it's going to come back on them. It's going to come back on their soul. It's going to come back in their life as a judgment for lying like that. This is what would happen then. But in those sacrifices, there is a reminder of sins every year. It's doing the opposite of what they think it's doing. Not only is it not taking away real sin, never did that. And the consciousness, the guilt and all of it, all that dirtiness inside, it never took away. It actually reminded them, which is the opposite of taking away. For it is not possible that the blood of bulls, he's speaking carnally now about it, and goats could not take away sins. Could not take away. Don't we read, though, for the sins of the people in the law, in the book of the law, in his very word? Doesn't it sound like it's taking away sins? So everyone needs discernment for what something means, because now the apostle's speaking of reality. He's speaking rightly dividing heavenly things with carnal things. The letter of the law and the spirit of the law. It never took away actual sins. Those sacrifices themselves, the image of the things, never did that. That comes from the Father. That comes from the heart repenting. Doing those sacrifices can be done all day long without the heart repenting for real. That's what happened. That's what happened. That's what's happening still. It doesn't have to be with blood and goats now. It's still happening that the carnal man, he can think all day long he's righteous, and he never repented from his heart yet, not even once. Therefore, his sins won't be taken away. Could never take away sins. Therefore, when he came into the world, he said, sacrifice and offering you did not desire. Well, what? The image of the things he did not desire. But a body you have prepared for me in burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin. You had no pleasure. Speaking of the carnal thing now. Not that kind of thing. Not the literal thing. Then I said, behold, I have come in the volume of the book. It is written of me to do your will, O Elohim. Previously saying, sacrificing and offering burnt offerings and offerings for sin you did not desire, nor had pleasure in them, which are according to the law. Yes, according to the letter of the law. Then he said, behold, I have come to do your will, O Elohim. He takes away the first covenant, the letter of the law, the carnality of man. Ourselves, the enemy, the flesh, needs to die. Take away the first through death, that he may establish the second Adam, the second, the spiritual, the new man, the heavenly man, who Messiah is. We need to be the second, the new covenant, the second covenant, the better covenant, on better promises. If they were the same, how could something be better if it's the same? Two oranges that are identical and one's better than the other, how's that? They're not the same. By that will we have been sanctified, true cleansing, true forgiveness of sins through the offering of the body of Yehoshua Messiah once for all. Back to the beginning. Genesis 4:4, Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat, and Jehovah respected Abel and his offering. Messiah became a sin offering for the flock. And now what do we read to do? To do as Messiah did. 1 John 3:14. 13. That wasn't the exact one I was looking for, but know that we have passed from death to life because we love the brethren. He who does not love his brother abides in death. Whoever hates his brother is a murderer. Don't have to kill anyone, literally. Whoever hates and does what hates means for evil in his heart, his brother is a murderer. Does the enemy have murder? Did he literally kill Adam and Eve? But Messiah says the devil's a liar and a murderer from the beginning. Lying is murder. It's hate. Lying to someone is hate. It's not love. It's murder. And you know that no murderer has this life, eternal life, age abiding life, abiding in him. By this we know love, because he laid down his, this is the one, we got to it now. By this we know love. By this we know love, because he laid down his life for us and became that offering. And we also, and we also, the 144,000, ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. But whoever has this world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his heart from him, how does the love of Elohim abide in him? They can say who God is all they want. This is the truth. This is the reality. They're a liar. My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue. Not to do that only, but in deed, works, and in truth. By this we know that we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts before him. For if our heart condemns us, Elohim is greater than our heart and knows all things. Beloved, if our heart does not condemn us, we have confidence towards Elohim. And whatever we ask, we receive from him, because we keep his commandments. Another for the world, and do those things that are pleasing in his sight, like Messiah did. He said he always does what's pleasing to the Father. He said that. Now we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. And this is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his Son, Yahushua Messiah, and love one another as he gave us commandment. He who keeps he who keeps his commandments abides in him, and he in him. Where was that? Jeremiah 31:31. The new covenant. But this covenant I will make with the house of Israel after those days, says Yahweh. I will put my law in their minds and write it on their hearts, and I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people, both ways. He who keeps his commandments abides in him, and he in him. And by this we know that he abides in us, by the Spirit whom he has given us. I think that's going to be it for now. Peace, take care, seek.